Okay, so we're ready to cross the bridge, but let's go do the 2 bonus puzzles and find what the statues want as well. And also any journals, the panels, and the labs out here somewhere. Just gonna run out over here. It is weird following waypoints. Having a compass and all that is always like kind of an anti-exploration mechanic. I think there's a setting to turn the compass off, but at that point you're taking a game that's super straightforward and then just arbitrarily obfuscating location data that the game was designed to have. So it's all the same things happening, but with me just wandering aimlessly for a while, because it is really hard. It actually kind of is hard to see.
I thought we'd found all the weird stuff.
So here's the big weird statue we saw on the way in. Success. It worked. I made a statue. Well, it half worked. The design wasn't balanced, so it fell over and broke. It's very dramatic, but the good news is that it all works in principle. Imagine what we could do using stone, part of the equipment. Miranda. More Trevor, right here.
So, humanity is great. I really believe that, and that's why I'm here. But I have to be honest with you, individual people, not always my favorite. I'm not the smartest guy ever, and I know that. But there are some people, man, some people are just so dumb. I don't even know if they're actually conscious. Sometimes I think their whole lives might be like a dream. They're just stumbling around, no idea what's going on, mumbling some random nonsense. And the thing that you have to understand about our time period is that a lot of these people wield enormous power. They run whole countries and corporations. Yeah, that's right. We've handed over our civilization to people I wouldn't trust to tie their own shoelaces. And if they're dumb, then what are we? I don't honestly have an answer to that, so just please try to do better.
But he's a counterbalance to the hopefulness. He is both personally petty in a way that is indicative of some of the negative sides of humanity, but also talking about some of the parts of humanity that make you question what's worth preserving to begin with.
How can I help you?
Tell me about New Alexandria.
We made 2 fatal mistakes in New Alexandria. One was trusting the texts of our ancestors without thinking for ourselves. The other was giving up instead of doubling down, letting the tragedy define our future.
What do you make of Pandora?
It's clear that there's some kind of antagonistic force in this place, something that doesn't want us to discover the purpose of the megastructure. Perhaps that's part of the testing. Or perhaps it's what's responsible for this state of decay.
What is the symbolic value of these entities we're encountering?
That's a good question. Prometheus is often taken to represent freedom and progress, the ideals of the radical Enlightenment. Pandora, on the other hand, usually represents the dangers of those very ideals, so they're counterparts, in a way. And the Sphinx is a mystery. Does that mean that these entities correspond to these concepts? Perhaps. They certainly seem to act like it. But Athena isn't the goddess of Athens, and I'm not Robert Byron, although those are the origins of our names. Where does myth end and history begin? We'll have to find out.
That's all. So he is aware of the origins of his own name, of him existing as sort of a reference. Okay, first time underwater, and it wasn't a good sign. I don't think I can make it to that island. I'm used to islands at that kind of distance being more accessible. I don't see anything out there, though. Just kind of suspected there might be. Got a few more spots to discover. There should be a gate. The optional puzzles. Any number of the, oh, here we are. Huh. Oops, can't jump here. Well, that's a different setup. Yeah, there could also be any number of panels. I forget if I've used one or two here. We have two statues, one of which I haven't seen yet, and one of which requires a beam again. Probably green again. Okay, this is a bonus puzzle. X. Pre-connected. Red. Hello. Okay, so that opens that, except I can't get over there. And being red, it's only useful for opening the blue, because I don't have the opposite. I could use that to get the blue to open the red, but I need to be able to get through the door. For that, I'm going to need this. But I can't keep that open from this side with this open. They do give me this strange back path. Which makes me wonder some things, but ultimately... this still needs a beam. It needs a beam, and I'm only connecting it via there. Not there or there. That's ready to output a red, but it has to be all over there, so like I need to just go carry it over there, basically. I'm not getting this open. When I grab that, the door re-blocks. This is hard. What do we think that button does? There's no wire connecting it anywhere. And whenever I deactivate this, I can't really get here to see what's happening. Like, does this wall go down too, or is this powered by the button? I don't know what the button does. It's on a button. It feels kind of messed up that there's no, like, connecting wire to show you where the button, what the button does. But yeah, ultimately I don't know how to reach this and touch it and interact with it. Because even if I can't move it off the button or whatever, you would want to connect it to something so for the beam fires somewhere else. But the process through which I power it, or more specifically I open this door, always involves also trapping myself. If I put the beam on that side of the wall, I can drag it only as far as that purple wall goes. And you can't see anything in here, so there's nothing to shoot it to. Or you can just barely reach that, except it'll be blocked by the blue. So I'm currently pretty uncertain what this wall is for. What's this little area for? Is there a clue in the name? Pre-connected. I thought about that, but I don't... There's enough barriers that I can't really make out what's happening. Okay, here's what I missed. My bad, everybody. I can connect this from the back. Which will lead this door staying open? No. No. Wait, will it just open on its own? This does let me out. I was missing this detail. And now this... Okay, yeah, I was just really goofing there. Don't know what half this level's for, though. Okay. So this button needs to be pressed for this one to go down. So there's two conditions holding this door. It only opens if this and this are both active at the same time. And my goal is to get it out of there so I can connect it to this to go there. There's no blue beam source. This does interestingly bring me over here. This is the source. We need that. Yeah, we can't see it from over here. So I need the hole in the wall just to get the red beam out. Okay, there's an alternate source of the beam. So now I can undo this hole and make this hole while pressing this button. Got it. I was feeling pretty stuck in there. Lab, directly underneath.
Every site we've investigated has had one of these labs, but they seem primitive compared to some of the technology we're seeing above ground.
Are we even sure that the labs and the puzzles belong to the same people?
There seems to be a connection between the experimental setups in the labs and some of the puzzle technology.
Correlation does not necessarily imply causation, though.
True. But just because we don't understand the connection, that doesn't mean it's not there. What we have here is two things that reflect each other. We just don't understand how that reflection works or what causes it.
Maybe Miranda can tell us.
Yeah, even if these are lower tech, which I'm not even sure I buy that, this place looks kind of wild. It's just kind of chunky looking in its architecture. They clearly have the prototypes for each of the mechanics we've dealt with so far. The End draft. The End by Olufemi Kaneda. After a lifetime dedicated to the written word, I'm forced with a task I could never have expected. Writing an epitaph not only for myself, but for my species. In the unlikely event that Alexandra Drennan is successful, and one day someone reads this, what meaningful insights can I share into the strange phenomenon that is humanity? I've spent days thinking about it, but now I'm running out of time. So I've set down the one thought that I simply can't shake. It didn't have to be this way. With more time, we could have found a cure. With a few political victories, we could have been prepared. Change any factor, even a little, and we could have made it. This isn't divine punishment, it's just dumb luck. Corruption. I'm reaching for something here, but I don't know what it is. Forgiveness? Grace? Acceptance? No. I hate the idea of accepting this. Hope, maybe. I feel like the story's unfinished. Maybe it should be. No epitaphs for humanity. I pray Drennan is right. It didn't have to be this way. And yet it was. Charon. Lord Dunsany. From 51 Tales by Lord Dunsany. Dunsany. Pronunciation struggle. Half a part of it's that you don't even know what culture we're talking about at first glance, unless you just already know every single thing that's being quoted, which, good for you. Charon leaned forward and rode. All things were one with his weariness. It was not with him a matter of years or of centuries, but of wide floods of time, and an old heaviness, and a pain in the arms that had become for him part of the scheme that the gods had made, and was of a piece with eternity. If the gods had even sent him a contrary wind, it would have divided all time in his memory into two equal slabs. So gray were all things always where he was, that if any radiance lingered a moment among the dead on the face of such a queen, perhaps as Cleopatra, his eyes could not have perceived it. It was strange that the dead nowadays were coming in such numbers. They were coming in thousands, and they were used where they used to come in 50s. It was neither Charon's duty, nor his wont, to ponder his gray soul why these things might be. Charon leaned forward and rode. Then, no one came for a while. It was not unusual for the gods to send no one down from Earth for such a space, but the gods knew best. Then one man came alone, and the little shade sat shivering on a lonely beach, and the great boat pushed off. Only one passenger. The gods knew best, and great and weary Charon rode on and on beside the little, silent, shivering ghost. and the sound of the river was like a mighty sigh that grief in the beginning had sighed among her sisters, and that could not die like the echoes of human sorrow failing on earthly hills, but was as old as time and the pain in Charon's arms. Then the boat from the slow, great river loomed up to the coast of Dees, and the little, silent shade still shivering stepped ashore, and Charon turned, and the boat go to wearily back to the world. Then the little shadow spoke, that had been a man. "I am the last," he said. No one had ever made Charon smile before. No one before had ever made him weep. There is an obvious and perhaps intended interpretation that this is the end of humanity and the last shadow is the last human to live, but another interpretation is equally possible, that humanity has achieved immortality and the last shadow is the last human to die. I prefer the latter. That's extremely optimistic because there was waves of deaths right before it all stopped, which sounds like everyone died in a huge wave. Noima Project 4. Unsuccessful. Weird. Inconsistent results. Simultaneous trials affecting each other via unknown mechanism. What is going on here? They're hitting the point where some of these phases have like 40 tests, where there used to be like 3. They've scaled up like crazy. What? What is about to happen? Interestingly, these are not optional Easter egg previews. You have to find these in order to unlock the next bit of navigation. So you're always hit with this hint of what mechanic might be coming next. But this one's interesting because like we kept just getting iterations on beams. Which are kind of like they can be neat, but they are still ultimately just playing with the same mechanics as the first game, just slightly changing the rules of how the beams are transmitted. But we had a lot of beams already last game. There's a lot of beams. There's a lot of beams. When things get really weird, that'd be interesting. Especially since what we're looking at here kind of flies in the face of a lot of what we're used to in Talos Principle, because it's almost always these really... Like, the game's pretty much always been flat on the ground. The one wild element being the fan is such a canned thing that it always expresses the same way all the time. This is not the new thing. That's level 6. The wall in my way. Oh, there's a statue. In a labyrinth. So it's saying that it's in the clearance to the right, the clearing to the right of the statue, between the statue and the caltrop. That's interesting. What's going on there? Where is this puzzle? In here? It's completely surrounded by walls. That would camouflage it. Transposition. Oh, I can't reach that. Got a jammer here. All right. And now I can pick up the jammer, I guess. technically an option. Not sure if it's any better. But I guess I don't need this jammer anymore, so I can then plop it through here. Okay, what does this beam do? What does this beam do? There's this thing that looks like one of those, but it's not on either time. And also I couldn't hit this to there to do that anyway. But this is being jammed manually by me. A bit unhelpful even. Okay, three-way connection. This one's a solid gate. Both reds are currently lit up. This side has a blue. Is there something else I would want to jam? Well, the jammer hardly feels like a puzzle mechanic. It's just kind of here with one target, it seems, which is weird. Like I feel like I'm missing something. In part because this is really confusing. Why isn't it? Is it bugged? Like, what's going on here? So a red beam has to go here, a blue beam has to go here. It spawns on this side in blue. There's no connector. There's just two inverters. So in order for the blue... Oh, there is a connector. This is a connector. I think it'd be harder to spot sometimes. Oops. Huh. This puzzle felt weird. The way that this isn't doing anything at the end, and this only had one target, really. And whatever's going on with that one wall, that feels like it's just not working at all. Ta-da! The E3 engraving. So there's a record for it now. So don't have to worry about trying to memorize that, but I probably had it down-ish. The Garden. New poem. I walk in the garden without fear, as stars swirl across the sky, and I stand amongst the tall lilies who lift their faces to the passing eons. Here I will do no harm, and no harm will come to me, for at last my long journey is over, and I am at home. Beautiful. Makes me feel calm and happy. This is my new favorite of yours, I think. Though maybe step by step towards the nightingales might still win out. Let's say it's a tie. The words are definitely beautiful, but to me it seems like a poem about death. Let's see. I walk in the garden without fear as stars swirl across the sky, and I stand among the tall lilies who lift their faces to the passing eons. Here I will do no harm, and no harm will come to me, for at last my long journey is over and I am at home. I don't feel our journey is over. Maybe it never will be over. You'd hope so. You were born yesterday. That's my greatest dream. That all this is just a momentary stop. A place where we rest for a little while before we go on to new adventures. Interesting. I always thought of humanity's journey as long and exhausting. A search for home. Homes are important, but we are wanderers, Imesh. We need new horizons, and the more we travel, the more we perceive our homes with new eyes, and find more to love. Wow, a response from Byron himself. Thank you for your thoughts, everyone. I really appreciate them. Lord Byron has graced us with his presence. The odd dynamic of him being a character people are not used to hearing from or seeing, but I've spent the game with him. So be how it be.
What can I do for you?
What do you make of Pandora?
It's pretty clear to me that she doesn't want us to proceed with what we're doing. I find that deeply concerning. That said, there are clearly other forces at play here as well, so I'm trying my best to remain open to a more positive interpretation.
One of these beings called us here after all.
Exactly. But we don't really understand anything yet, and this Prometheus is suspiciously absent, so I remain cautious.
That's all. And what do we have over here? Anything new from you? Nope. Founding 3. Hypatia's Journal number 3. Volume 1. Founding of New Jerusalem. Day 42. We broke ground on the first of the permanent structures today. A large hall that will eventually be converted into a performance and exhibition space. My idea, although for now we use it as a workshop. It's strange, this place. There's a lot of open space, and I didn't think that I would find it so unusual, but I suppose we all spent more time at the dam than was originally planned. And now it's difficult to get used to not having that low ceiling over our heads. It's probably just me. Byron loves being outside and is always volunteering for scavenging missions. Laughterseer usually tags along, although he seems more fascinated with observing nature and various weird creatures. At night I sometimes catch myself standing by the door. Not because I have guard duty, just watching the stars. It's oddly comforting to think that they've always been there. That they watched our ancestors standing where I stood now. Message fragment 5358. 25358. From Miranda. We finished setting up the external side of the lake. The area is so stunning. We forgot about the experiment for a while and went for a long walk. The ways in which all the different aspects of nature interact with each other are endlessly fascinating to me, and the sheer variety of living things, even on a simple green meadow. Sadly, we then stumbled onto the carcass of a deer that had been torn apart by wolves. It must have suffered enormously, and thinking about that made me feel truly terrible. There is so much pain in nature. I keep thinking about 5358, and I was tempted to try to input it as a code last chapter, but it has one number repeating, so I can't just turn on 5, 3, 5, and 8. There's no second 5. Ecosystem engineers. Author Anthony Castor. Cutting down swaths of trees for their building projects, thoughtlessly causing radical changes to large environments and forcing local species to adapt to their artificial habitats. These are the traits of a species of intelligent, industrious, and extremely impactful ecosystem engineers. Humans? No. I'm talking about beavers. Like us, beavers transform their environment via building, and their actions have real consequences, creating vast wetlands that some species thrive in while others die. Human activity is very similar. We too are ecosystem engineers, and we too benefit some species while harming others. Everything about this is completely natural, including the damage to other species. After all, that's what competition and evolution is all about. Those species that adapt to the ecosystems we create will, over the coming millennia, become the core of a new biodiversity, and so evolution runs its course. But we don't like if we don't like the result, if we think some species should be preserved despite being outcompeted, well, that's anything but natural. It is, however, very human. It's fascinating how much of what we do is common in animals, but furthered enormously by our intelligence and our ability to remember. Through us, the universe strives to a greater level of complexity. But does the universe have the capacity to strive for anything? We must be careful to avoid projecting human values onto the cosmos. Interesting that we have 3 reoccurring themes. We have 5358, Trevor, and Miranda, and then everything else is blotted out. We have nothing else. Okay, we have everything but the stars right now. And I think the one I'm looking at right now was the one that pointed me towards the statue. And the other one's gonna be another beam one. I feel like the statue is vaguely in this direction, but I could be completely going in the wrong direction and just completely turned around. There it is. Let's try to recreate the angle and not get too ahead of myself with the guessing. It does seem like it should be over there. Yep, to the right of it, past the first 2 legs, over here. So this structure or something on the way to it. Could even be hiding under a rock or something. Okay, they're challenging me with a bit of ambiguity here. Worrying. These moments in games can be very frustrating just because there's so many places it could be. Don't think we're making it on top. Not exactly gonna get to zoom in anymore. It might be closer to the bank, but it's hard to make out. I'm gonna spend more time looking for this than I have working on several of the puzzles lately. We're essentially looking for a star. I feel like I'm gonna give myself a hint of ice drain staring at this one. I'm half tempted to go running all the way back just to see what I'm missing here. Hard to see. This is way too close to the middle to be right. Oh. Yeah, that'd be it. Okay. Nyam 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 nyam. It's blinking at me, calling me home. So far away. It's so far away. These levels are really big. Like this one in particular, every individual level had a pretty long walk between it. Right, this was inside of a labyrinth. Ta-da!
The wheel turns, but without the road, it cannot move.
Part of me doesn't inherently want like a cutscene, like an animation of the thing you picked up going into your inventory. There was something satisfying about the way that in the first game when you picked up a Tetris piece, it entered into a chunk of your inventory you could track. But really part of it is just the fact that there's a few different items in this game that you pick up by walking over them, and since while you're walking over them, they pass off your camera and then you don't see them actually get picked up. So on some level, there's kind of a sound that plays, but I do kind of like double back and look like, hey, it's gone, right? I got it. Because it doesn't show up visually. But it's whatevs. Okay, you're facing away from the island. That narrows down who you could be significantly. I hope. That said, did I see a beam connection? I feel like somewhere in this level I saw a beam connection. Okay, you. And it's behind it, so you probably have to bounce it into that level to get it there, but let's follow it to its source, because we need to start the beam. If they're giving me a beam that crosses the map, you're probably supposed to use it. Don't get stuck. Right back to where I just was. Hello again. Oh my god. Ugh. Now where are you going? Okay, well there's something here.
Let us consider the city. What is a city? It is not a gift from the gods, nor the product of nature. Unlike a mountain or a river, it is something that must be built through the deliberate arrangements of material by a mind imposing order on the world. And it is built to serve a purpose. To that end, it has roads and fountains and walls. And to the same end, it has laws and leaders. And though each city is built according to a different plan, all cities must serve their purpose, or they will fall and become ruins. Therefore, we may conclude that a city is also a kind of machine, constructed to improve the life of its citizens.
I do think this was the only level that gave me green. Okay, there should now be a green beam going across the level. Yep, mean green beam machine. And I think we still want to go up here. Okay, that's the labyrinth again. There it is. I'm starting to see it. So that was quite the runaround. So it ends here. So I need to locate the statue, which is over here. I need to be able to redirect the beam. And I don't think... There's a room over here where it's facing. Wonder if it can be rotated? I believe we've already been here. Yeah. Life Thirsty has 3. What do you want me to do? Follow me. So it's on that side. And you may need to go all the way out here past this rock to get a line of sight that's clear to include both of them. So I think we need to liberate... We need to liberate a beam. Oh boy. This is gonna take a while. Yeah, I think the only way to proceed is to actually get the beam connector out of a level. Or 6 might be doable. I might be able to see it from here. Did this level have a connector? Yes, it had a connector. Here's the end. Okay. No, more doable than expected. It just seemed so out there that it didn't seem like anything was going to have the right angle. But no. These things have functionally infinite range. And it just doesn't come up because you're always trapped inside of a puzzle.
False idols are worshipped not because they are idols, but because they are false. True idols are rejected because the truth is feared.
Hitting us with that Athena wisdom. True idols are rejected. You think you want the truth, but you can't handle the truth. Don't even get me started. Hello. That part's relatively restricted. Because they do have to be pieces that even can fit. Well, this one's less restricted. Nope. Mindless did not work. Oop. There we go. There's still only so many configurations, so they're pretty doable. Y'all hiding anything back here? Don't lie, I'll know. I won't know. I am easy to lie to.
When the craftsman Daedalus was imprisoned in the very labyrinth he had created, his only solace was his son, Icarus. To escape their plight, he fashioned wings of feathers and wax. He warned his son to fly neither too high nor too low, but his son, enraptured by the freedom of flight, flew too close to the sun. Thus the wax in his wings melted, and he fell to his death. What was the sun's error?
Hubris, the flame of the sun belongs to the gods. Carelessness, he did not use his wings correctly. Lawlessness, he should never have attempted to escape the labyrinth. Disobedience, he should have listened to his father. Impatience, if he wanted to soar so high, he should have built better wings. Idiocy, the wings were made from wax. I mean, come on. I mean, come on. There's some good answers sometimes. Yeah, I'm gonna say impatience. If he wanted to soar so high, he should have built better wings.
What matters the substance of his wings, if the sky was not meant for him? After the death of his son, Daedalus withdrew in sorrow to a foreign land. King Minos came looking for the craftsman to exact his revenge. The answer to a riddle revealed where Daedalus dwelled, but for Minos, that answer was his ruin. Consider King Minos, burned in his bath, as you seek your own answer.
Big gun. Well, now it happens.
The megastructure. It's opening.
3 receivers, 3 towers, 3 beams, as we suspected. I think this is an invitation.
Doesn't look that inviting to me.
If you consider the size of the entire structure, then that opening must be big enough to drive a building through.
Or the VTOL.
You want us to go in there, into the creepy triangular maw of death?
Maw of death? I think it looks charming.
Byron's right. We're here to explore, and this is a mystery worth investigating. This technology could change everything.
Oh, all right. I'm not winning this, am I?
Nope. Let's meet up with the VTOL, everybody. We're going in.
What could go wrong? Several things. So, it was not Prometheus. It went Sphinx. Both of this, the first and the third one. They just hit us with the Sphinx again. Sphinx, Pandora, Sphinx.
By the way, I finished my analysis of the particle clouds. At first I thought they might be some kind of nanotechnology, but I was wrong. It's a lot worse than that. What we're looking at is a completely unknown type and state of matter. Completely inexplicable within our understanding of physics. Created and manipulated by someone.
Fascinating.
But who? This is interesting. We set into a little bit of repetition as the 3 worlds went by, but now we have the wonder of what happens when you complete a quadrant. And I do just want to kind of pass these in. See this thing fill up a bit. Asymmetry. We've given them 6, but they're all leaning in one side. Wonder why that order.